Hey everyone, this is Gary Kayye, and I want to welcome all my LinkedIn followers and rAVe's LinkedIn followers to a special live LinkedIn event. We are coming to you live here with, I've got a couple of gentlemen with me who represent one of my favorite brands, nRaVe. I don't think it's any secret that I'm a big fan of nRaVe. Rob Abbott, VP of Products. How you doing?
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for the endorsement, Gary. And I know it comes from a genuine place because you use it directly.
Exactly. You're not paying me to say that. I use it all the time, and we've got them all over campus now at UNC. And in fact, I don't know, over the years, probably 40 to 50 university campuses have called me and asked me to dial in so they can see it and walk around the room and stuff. So I know I've probably been a good indirect salesperson for you, James. But I want to talk. I want to have you introduce yourself because you actually spent some time out at in one of my classrooms last semester.
I did. I got to see a bunch of your classrooms. So my name is James Ruffel, the Director of Product Management here at nRaVe. And yeah, I got to see the beautiful UNC campus and got to see a bunch of the classrooms in the journalism department, and
Yep.
Really impressive setup.
Well, technically, we're called the Hussman School of Journalism and Media, but that's okay. We'll come back to that. We are as many may know, I'm a professor of advertising and branding at the University of North Carolina in the Hussman School of Journalism and Media. And I've also grown up my entire professional life in the AV industry. So I'm kind of in a weirdly unique kind of position where I'm actually using the classrooms and then also from the AV world. And Rob, I think that's kind of how we got connected. I kind of honestly, I knew Nancy, the founder of nRaVe, was working on starting a new company. I'd heard it had something to do with classroom audio, and it was back, I don't know, the mid 2000s, and I was like, please help me. Here's the problem. Here's a laundry list of items that we need help with, and it really came down to the complication, Rob, of miking. Actually, let me back up. So what you're going to watch is everything you kind of need to know about what's going on in HyFlex and active learning classrooms. Okay, so if you're higher education, but even K through 12, if you're the kind of K through 12 that really that values quality, this is a session for you. I mean, the truth is, Rob, there's going to be a lot of people that can't afford what they might want to be able to afford. But let's go back to what I was saying. In say 2015, 2016, when I was I felt bad for students who could not attend my classes. They were athletes or sick, and I felt bad for them. And it was hard because as professors, we can't just come in and just put on a mic every day and make sure the batteries are working and then make sure that on the far side they're getting the signal and everything. And so I came to Nancy and I basically said, this is the problem. And she said, I got something coming for you. And Rob, you had it all up.
Yeah. No, it came from a place of unsolved problems. Basically, we had a huge kind of background in interactive displays, interactive whiteboards. And so kind of in our DNA is the idea that you're not sitting at a table. You're not sitting around staring into the center of the table. You're working, you're writing, your back is to
Exactly.
the table, you're moving. And so it's from this idea of active collaboration and active teaching. It's a huge problem for microphone pickup. And that was the gap that we saw in the market. And then how do you do that in a way that's affordable, that isn't like a multi-component, DSP-based system to make it more accessible. So yeah, that's kind of
something that could connect to in our case, we had computers in all the rooms. We already had computers in the rooms. We just needed something that can connect to all the computers. We didn't want to put in an audio amp in every single place. We didn't want to actually add a whole bunch of inputs and stuff. And you came out with the first HDL 300 was the first unit. I honestly think I might actually have gotten one of the first units installed in the Reese News Lab because this was 2017. So I don't think you had been shipping it long, or if it was out long, it was new.
Yeah, that was the early days. And the good news is that product through firmware updates just keeps getting better as well.
Yeah.
We've moved on to a second generation, but the first generation solid product with continual firmware updates. And we get a lot of great reports of people still getting lots of value out of the system.
Well, I'm going to put up some pictures here of that actual classroom from 2017. We called it the future of the classroom for UNC. We were sort of building a model, and you can see where it's installed. You can see it's just sort of kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's not substantial location. It's actually not in the back middle of the classroom. It's actually in the back left of the classroom. Wide room, almost 40 feet wide by about 30 feet deep. We only use one HDL 300 in that room. We're projecting on the wall, as you can see. Everything in that room is on wheels, is something I want to talk about, Rob. And I'm going to come back to you in just a second, James. This is what we thought in 2017 was going to be an active learning classroom. Now, we're going to talk more about the products in a minute, but let's talk about what happened. We were lucky because we actually had the model for a HyFlex classroom since we built one, and how to handle hybrid when the pandemic hit. So let's fast forward a couple of years. The pandemic hits, and then we already know how to solve the audio problems in all the classrooms, right? Because we had been using the HDL. We were like, man, wouldn't this be great to have in every classroom? But, we don't have the budget for it now, so let's wait for the next tech upgrade cycle. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hits, James, and we place an order for a bunch.
Yeah. As did many universities.
Yeah. Well, the key to that is the connectivity and the compatibility, the simplicity of connectivity to all the products in the room, because it is a walk up and use experience. Whenever the computer's on, it is on. Whenever you load up Zoom or Teams or whatever you're using, we use Panoptos for recording too. It just starts recording. What's the magic in that, James? Like, I understand the model was that walk up and use experience without complexity, but what makes that happen?
It's really our microphone mist technology, which allows us to cover a very large area from locations on the wall. And the way our technology works is we project thousands of virtual microphones throughout the room, and we can target the entire room, monitor all of those virtual microphones simultaneously, and pick the best pickup area. So typically where the instructor's talking or where the students are talking when they're asking questions or making comments. And the big advantage is that no one has to think about it. You don't have to think about where the microphones are in the room. You just go about your lesson as you normally would, and you have confidence that the system is going to pick up everything that's said in the room.
Well, as an example, you're in a room right now. I don't know how big your room is. You'll have to tell us how big it is. You're in a room right now. One of the coolest, I don't know, how big is that room? Like, oh, it's bigger than it looks.
Yeah,
how big is it?
I think it's 28 feet deep by 16 feet long.
So you can see, if we can, I want to ask our producer, we're live, so I don't know how easy this is going to be. I don't know if she can put James mostly full screen there if I caught her by surprise, because we are streaming this on LinkedIn. But you can see the HDL, and it looks like a 400 or 410, one of the two on the wall right there. What is that? Is that
an HDL 310? So it's
310.
One microphone and speaker bar covering the entire space.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it, is that it doesn't have to be directly across from the speaker. It doesn't have to be in a specific location. There you go. There we go. We got full screen here. Look at that magic. Look at that. She puts little bubbles and everything. So as you don't do me a favor, I'm gonna shut up for a second. I want you to walk around and just so that people can see that you do a great job compressor limiter and balancing the audio no matter where you are.
Yeah, well, the way that technology works is it knows where I am speaking in the room. And so it automatically adjusts gain based on how far away I'm from the microphone. So you get nice, consistent audio levels. And you can see this is not an acoustically great room. There are two glass walls. There's a big reflective table here.
Two big glass panels on the other wall.
Exactly, yeah. But the system does a really good job of knowing where I am, targeting my voice, and providing clear, consistent audio.
Come on, walk all around the front if you don't mind. We don't want to trick anybody. We want to make sure people know you're not tricking them.
And here I am at the front of the room, and I'm right below the microphone and speaker bar here. And so you can imagine people seated at various locations around the table are all going to get picked up.
Yeah. So one of the cool demos I do is when somebody says to me, is this really going to work this well? And I'll go and I'll turn, if you don't mind, James, turn around and look out the window that's behind you. Now walk into that corner right there, and I want you to talk.
I'm facing away from the microphones.
You don't even have to say anything else. If you're watching this demo, why would you not use this product? Like he's facing in the corner. That is the demo that catches everybody. Go ahead and keep talking. Go ahead.
If I was really on my game here, I'd crawl under the table.
Yeah. James has lots of practice talking in the corner, it turns out.
He dresses too nicely, Rob. You and I would crawl on the table. but Rob, I want to jump out into rAVe land for a second. Let's talk about like the concept of active learning classrooms, because look, the microphone is only one piece of the puzzle here. One of the things that we did in 2017 was we took a room that had a whole bunch of permanent desks that are mounted, which is very common in a university system. We got rid of all of them. We put in obviously tables with wheels, and we put in chairs with wheels. And that may not seem like a big deal, but the truth of the matter is the new generation, Gen Z, they like to collaborate. And in the world of advertising, we do a lot of collaboration. So we're teaching them how to collaborate. It allows us to build rooms ad hoc. We can make it a classroom, sort of traditional classroom style one day, and then have them work in groups. And we've even done this with, James has actually seen this, Rob, a 200 plus seat arena that has 6 different huddle spaces inside of it, so that the students can collaborate in 6 different, you're seeing a picture of it right there, in 6 different areas. And it actually works remarkably well, Rob. And you can imagine that, the whole university environment is going to eventually go this way, because the idea of linear learning is changing to active learning.
Right. Yeah, we certainly see, as we visit customers, talk to our customers, the shift away from a more static lecture hall to a collaborative classroom. And some of our customer advisors they're just going completely through a revamp of that right now. But kind of more subtly, what I was telling you before the call, I just been on the road visiting customers for the last couple of weeks, and it's just what I would really say is what we thought of as a problem room or a tricky room maybe 5 years ago is now 80% of rooms you walk into, the furniture is on casters. There's some element of flexible layouts. One room needs to support 2 or 3 different teaching styles. Often now the rooms are being used for faculty meetings and classrooms, and something in the evenings. It's just very dynamic, and these are places that everything's on wheels, everything's moving, and you just, how do you support that with a small team? And that's how.
And you also have this no such thing as front of the room exclusively anymore. That is another thing that's happened. I'm going to show you some classrooms now that we have at UNC where we have 2 different fronts of rooms in each classroom. It depends on the style, and actually more if you decide. I mean, you could be an instructor and teach in front of the windows if you want. Just have your students turn around. The idea that the material on the screen is going to lead the meeting or lead the classroom anymore is not what we do anymore. Like, I think a lot of us like to teach and sort of collaborate with the students and use that as supporting material. And it's allowed us to teach non-linearly. And James, one of the complications there comes into, look, audio, we can have, audio is great, but we all need video too. Like, this would not be interesting to just listen to on LinkedIn. We want video. So you have done something unique, and some of the other audio companies have done this, let's be honest, but you were the first that I saw do this, where you're able to both control the camera or send a signal to the camera to make it control better, a PTZ camera control better and more accurate. I want you to explain that. Like, why do we care about that, and how does that actually work?
Well, it's not just about one camera, it's often about multiple cameras, because in a classroom, you of course want to see the instructor, but the instructor might be in different locations. And then it's also important to see the students in the classroom as well, especially when you're getting into class discussion or Q&A sessions.
Yeah.
And so how do you choose which camera is going to give you the best view? Well, it really depends on who's talking and where the conversation is going. And just by virtue of our microphone mist technology, we know where in a room people are talking. With our HDL410 product, we can export XY coordinates in the room over an API. And there's several camera manufacturers that have made use of this information to do both camera steering and switching.
Yeah, and the companies like rAVe, I know, is compatible. Give me some of the brands that are.
Yeah, Lumens, PTZ Optics, and then we've also been working with a company called Inogenie, which has a simple USB camera switcher, and so we have an integration with that can create a very simple, cost-effective camera switching solution.
You also have an integration with Extron. From a global control perspective, that gives you even a higher level. And in fact, at our school, we're actually using Extron to know when the room is a single room or 2 different rooms, because we have a divisible wall. And in that case, we did something really unique. I want to put up some pictures of that. I think it's a little unique. And I know that it was not easy for you, James. I know that it was not. I will say this: what we did, we put two HDL 400s in there, and somehow you're switching. Thanks to Extron, you're getting the information so that you know when the room is supposed to be used individual. The HDL 400s are being used individually versus together. They make one system.
Yeah. Our technology lends itself very well to divisible rooms because every time you connect a bar or disconnect a bar, it automatically recalibrates to the space.
Okay.
And so what we have in the room you're showing here is two HDL 310s, and then we're using an Ethernet switch to programmatically switch the two independent HDL 310s to a single audio system that can cover the combined space. And all it takes is a push of a button or a command from the Extron system, and the audio system will automatically recalibrate to the new configuration.
So we've been using nRAVe so long that our models are 0, 0, and now you have 1, 0. You have 310 and 410. What's the difference, Rob, between what are the different models that are available now, and what's the difference?
Yeah, well, we try to keep it simple. Our positioning is really based on size of room, and so the higher the number, the bigger the space. But very kind of to the point, the difference between a 310 and a 410 is the 310 is a single bar system, the 410 is a dual bar system. And what the dual bar system gives you, in addition to a fuller coverage in a bigger space, it does layer on this, as James was saying, this layer of acoustic data beyond just giving you great pickup, a layer of acoustic data that includes things like the sound location API. So we're really kind of thinking about multiple levels of data so you can be heard, but also do good integrations with control systems and with camera systems.
You've also added a console box that it's kind of the hub, right? I mean, it allows you to plug it all into this so that you don't have, and am I calling it the right thing?
You're not, but it's close. So it's just, the console is our device management and monitoring kind of service and software.
That's right. Okay, that's the software. We're going to come to that in a second. What is the box called again?
The box is just called the Connect module.
Connect module. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes it where you don't have to worry about not having enough USB ports on your computers and to manage the different devices coming in.
Well, really, it's about we made it so it's really easy to get power and connectivity to the bars just through power over Ethernet. They all meet in this Connect module, which is typically close to your PC, and that's what connects via USB to the PC. So it does a lot of the kind of heavy lifting in the audio processing, but in a way that is invisible to the user and doesn't require tuning or tweaking, kind of the way a DSP does.
And so invisible that me teaching in the room doesn't even know what it's called.
Exactly. Well, we didn't give it a sexy name on purpose.
I just know it's there.
Yeah.
I knew it was. Okay, James, let's talk about console, because that's been kind of a game changer. And just recently, also, I should mention that you also introduced a version or an application so that you can control it from a mobile device, which is, to me, is an actual game changer. Because in the early days, let me be honest with you, in the early days, I had to have a Windows PC. And so you've come a long way. You've recognized the Mac, but also now you have mobile device control.
Yeah, well, a console, as Rob mentioned, is our cloud-based device management platform. And we found that IT managers, responsible for classroom technology in universities, once they have multiple systems, the question becomes, how do you manage those at scale? And IT departments are notoriously short on staff, and they need ways of streamlining their workflows. And that's really what Console does. It provides a single cloud-based dashboard where you can see all your nRAVe devices online. You can monitor them, you can change settings, you can extract acoustic data as well. And so that's for sort of remote monitoring. What we've recently introduced is what we call a nRAVe app, and that's a tool for really in-room configuration.
Right.
And you can connect to our devices over the LAN, and you don't even need an internet connection. You can have access to all of the controls and settings of our devices.
Yeah, and that's nice because, as I said, in the original install we did, we had to actually have we had to find a Windows laptop.
Right.
Because we're a Mac school. We literally had to find a Windows laptop, and we actually kept one around for that, but now we don't have to worry about that. So I want to ask you a question, Rob, because you, as you said, you just spent time traveling around. Plus, you have interfaced with hundreds of universities over the last few years with your technology, with microphone mist technology, the concept, what you're trying to do here. Where is all of this heading? I mean, I kind of only sit in my little, naive space in North Carolina, but where's this going? Like, what are we going to see? What are people asking for now?
Yeah, I mean, there's an overriding theme of a need to do more with less that James touched on, and I don't think that's necessarily a new problem. It's just the reality of education funding and refresh cycles and budgeting. But I think they're getting asked to do more. The technology needs to do more. Even things like when I talk to a lot of AV managers, they almost all of them have told me, not only am I now responsible for the meeting room or the classrooms, I'm responsible for the faculty meeting rooms.
Yeah.
So typically that's like, well, I had 300 classroom spaces. Now I have an additional 100 meeting room spaces, same number of people, and I have 100 more rooms to manage. And so this problem of scale, and what they ask for is, I need a technology and a product that I can put in once, and never touch it again. So it's this like one touch rule. They can't go back and tweak the room if this is suddenly divisible or suddenly the layout of the furniture has moved. So I think that theme is continuing. But I think.
Well, can I ask you about that? I'll make a point about that because I think this point needs to be made. Okay. A microphone is a microphone. The technology behind a microphone has not changed much in 70, 80 years when it comes to what it's actually doing, like the base. Yeah. What the magic is in what you just said is that, look, if you buy what we have now, we're going to keep it updated with firmware and software so that you're not worrying about having to reinvest every 3, 5, or even 10 years in this technology, because we're just going to keep making microphone mist technology better, but we're also going to keep using all of the new DSP features as they come out, and probably AI. I think you're going to see a lot more machine learning and AI built into this technology. I know you don't want to spill the beans, but I think it's important for people to understand what you just said there, because the nuance in your statement might get lost.
Yeah, no, thanks for calling that out. And I think that just a real practical example, we kind of touched on it already, but the idea of a system that continuously auto calibrates is so foundational when you think about how messy these spaces are, how the tables are moving, the furniture is moving. I think that is the fundamental thing people want, is I need to know that as I move my classrooms configurations and layouts around, as a lecture style changes, will it continue to work? Okay, it works now after we just set it up and got it running. Will it continue to work? And I think that this is what really they're asking for, an AV manager, an IT manager in a university. They really need solutions that can do that as they scale, because there's not enough of them for the number of rooms they have to manage.
And at what point do you, because you're so software heavy in what you're doing, do you start even more integration into LMSs and into recording systems, and maybe even, I know you've got your connections with the camera companies, but why not now do the same thing with Panopto and Zoom and Teams and so on and so forth, so that you're automating that process as well with Canvas and with Blackboard and with Sakai and all those other companies out there? Yeah,
well, I think we already do that. I mean, our API strategy is very much API first. So all of those integrations are possible. Our key ecosystem partners are Microsoft and Zoom. These are people we work with closely to make sure out of the box integration is there, certification testing. Those things, really all those subtleties of where is the noise filtering happening? Where is the echo cancellation happening? How is all that working together? That is very much a kind of part and parcel of the, we always are with something else. Ecosystem is critical to what we do. And so, yeah, Gary, I think just almost kind of natively as a USB audio device, we just work really well with lecture capture systems without a whole lot of extra integration needed. I think there's always the opportunity to integrate the maybe the workflows where things are more automatically happening, but from a pure audio quality into their systems, it works well as is. So I think that it is our assumption that audio is being captured in multiple ways by multiple other systems at all times.
And sorry, James. If you could design the best possible space, where do you put the microphone? Do you try to always put the microphone across the room from where, if we have a space, we know where the presenter is going to be standing, the teacher, is it directly across? Like, what is the perfect design criteria for nRaVe?
Kind of depends on what you're doing in the room, and but generally, yeah, having a microphone and speaker bar across from where the instructor is talking is the best. And certainly, if we're leveraging the audio location data for camera tracking, generally a perpendicular arrangement of the bars provides the greatest accuracy.
Yeah, and I guess that makes logical sense, but you can't always do it. Like sometimes you have a glass on one of those walls, and the person in charge of the room just says, no, you're not going to put it there. So you don't have a lot of choice there. But
yeah, and it's very flexible. You can see in this room here, we have the microphone and speaker bar on the side wall of the meeting room, which is unusual. Oftentimes people like to have the microphone and speaker bar on the front wall. It will work in either configuration.
Okay.
We like it here because for demonstrations, it's in the camera view.
Yeah. And then Rob, what can we expect in the future? What are we? I know you just said you're going to keep it updated, but I know that you haven't stopped engineering.
No, absolutely. So I think that the rAVe app was a big kind of addition to the platform, is like essentially an additional kind of pillar to the platform. So we're putting a lot of focus on what value can we add in a simple to use app, pre-install and post-install. So, acoustical challenges aren't going anywhere. Poor acoustics are kind of a fact of life. So one of the areas we're focusing on is, can we put more kind of acoustic measurement, acoustic analytics in the hands of the installer, whether that's in-house or through a reseller, pre-install, to say, where should we put the system? Are you going to have background reverberance problems before you encounter them? And so, we feel that we can really extend our experience even a step before you purchased a nRaVe product or installed it, all on the back of the fact that you can have this technology.
Design expertise ahead of time so that you can plan. And I guess there'll be a version, or you'll look at, are we retrofitting a room versus are we able to start a room from scratch? Because if you're able to build a room to specs and you're able to put it wherever you want, it's going to have a different result than if you have to retrofit. Yeah,
exactly. So I think just adding value. Again, what are our customers complaining about? They're saying, I need help. I'm not an acoustic expert. I want to be able to do this myself, or I'm a reseller. I don't have a lot of audio background. Give me more tools to work through this. We'll continue to work on our sound location data accuracy. Another use case that we're really seeing value in is what we call voice amplification mode. So the idea of your voice being amplified in the room while it's still being captured in a Teams or Zoom call, and just all the nuances of making that work really well from an echo perspective, get a great experience for the remote students and the in-room students. We're trying to really double down on that part of functionality. Is really, we're seeing as HyFlex settles out, that's one of the lecture capture, voice amplification with distributed students. Those are the core bread and butter use cases that we see kind of being established.
Yeah, and a lot of people know it in our industry is voice lift, but I think you're taking it to the next level. You're kind of doing something beyond just what's considered traditional voice lift with that.
Well, we're doing voice voice amplification, but at the same time as you're picking up students and capturing it in a live distributed call.
Yeah, and that's difficult to do. And that's I agree with you. I think that's going to be the future, because you are going to have rooms big enough where you would wish you could amplify the audio in a specific area of the room, but everyone else can hear fine, but you don't want to have to mic the presenter necessarily. So that's I think you kind of gave us some secret sauce there about some of the things you're working on. Well, if you don't know who nRaVe is, and we've been popping it up here on the screen for you for a while, but nRaVe.com, NUREVA.com. Of course, if you've been watching us on LinkedIn, you've seen the links down there. We've been linking everything we've been talking about as we've been doing this, and also showing you stuff that we've been working on. So, Rob, I want to thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate the knowledge base. And James, I appreciate you doing the demo. You definitely proved us.
Great. Thanks for your time again, Gary. And good luck with your new HDL orders and installs. And
yeah, exactly. Well, it isn't me. It's the great ITS and AV people that we have at UNC. I've just been happy to be part of that first original demo, getting that first system out there. So I really appreciate you all supporting us as well. And if you want to get a real demo from a real classroom, just contact me. I'll actually do a real demo from one of my classrooms. Of course, you can always contact nAVe, and that's what they do all day long. So you can, and they have all different size rooms and spaces and stuff that you can test out. And if you see them at a trade show, definitely go by there and let them do that test for you with the headphones on. Again, nAVe is at nAVe.com. Rob Abbott, James Rumpel, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day, and I want to thank everyone for watching us on LinkedIn. The special LinkedIn Live edition brought to you thanks to the products and the people from nAVe.